If you have an idea, or if you are in a company or you're a mom, doesn't matter what you're doing, reach out and ask for help. People are accessible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you're on the playground or if you're in a boardroom. Ask for help. Find mentors. Find people that you admire that are doing what you're doing, and just ask for help.
Welcome to Empowerista, female entrepreneurs finding freedom and fulfillment in their life and career. I'm your host, Alex Worley, the founder and CEO of Empowerista, an award-winning producer and national TV host, seen on platforms like Business Rockstars, Entrepreneur.com, and Amazon Prime. I am so excited to share my candid conversations with successful women as they reveal the tips and truths they've learned on their entrepreneurial journey. My guest today is Sara Happ, the lip expert. She's the founder and CEO of Sara Happ, a multi-million-dollar lip product company. Sara created her first product, a lip scrub, in her kitchen, and today her products can be found at prestigious places like Nordstrom, Ulta, and QVC. With a background in journalism, Sara broke into a competitive industry through filling a void and leveraging press. Let's learn how the single self-made mom has grown her successful business. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Reading up on you, I've been so excited to chat with you because you are the epitome of a self-made woman who started in the kitchen and now is in Nordstrom, has a partnership with QVC. I mean, such an amazing success story. So I can't wait to dive in. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to be here. This is precisely the kind of space that I like to talk.
Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning. If you could give me an overview of your journey that has allowed you to grow so much in the past 15 years.
For sure. So I started this. I didn't start a company. I created a product 15 years ago. I created a lip scrub in my kitchen because there were none. Like, no lip scrubs existed in 2005. I Googled the term because I'm a big scrubber. I love to scrub my face, my hands, my body, my feet. You know, like, there was a scrub for every part of my body. But when I Googled lip scrub, there was nothing. And I got chills, like head to toe chills. And I was like, wait a minute. If I can't buy this at Nordstrom, if I can't buy this anywhere, I'm going to make it in my kitchen. So the lip scrub was born out of my kitchen by necessity.
Just for yourself.
For me.
Did you have an idea at that moment that you were going to turn it into a business, or was it truly just for yourself at that point?
Not a business. Yes. Not a company, but I knew that, like, other people would want this product, because if you have lips, you do know what chapped lips feel like.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, wait a minute. And exfoliation is so important. So I was like, okay, if I want this product, other people are going to want this product. I did not see it as becoming this whole company, this whole, like, lip company, but I definitely knew that I was onto something.
You're a really good example of starting with a niche and starting super narrow and just nailing that space and then growing from there. So tell me a little bit about that, how you started super narrow and slowly grew it.
Yeah, well, we still are super narrow. So that's kind of our thing, is like, we started with the lip scrub, and then I created the lip slip, which was the glossy balm. And I was onto this idea. So the lip scrub filled a hole in the market, right? That's a great way to get into a space, is if it doesn't exist, put it out there. But then I did some really deep diving into lip chemistry, and I was like, wait a minute, I think I'm addicted to every lip balm and gloss that I have, whether it's from, like, CVS or Bergdorf's. I think I'm addicted. And I talked to my chemist, not my kitchen. I was out of my kitchen at this point. We were in, a gigantic lab. And I said, am I right in thinking that I am addicted to my lip products? And she said, yeah, because they're empirically dehydrating. So the alcohols, the waxes, the pigments that are in a lip product dehydrate. So I like to compare it now to Coca-Cola. Like, if you drink Coca-Cola with your meal, it tastes delicious, but it dehydrates you immediately. If you had water, you'd feel hydrated. So basically, most lip products are made to dehydrate. It's good business, right? Because the more you use, the more you need, the more you use. Great business.
Sure.
But I said to her, I was like, what if we went the other direction? What if we created a product for lips that was the opposite? What if we took out these 8 ingredients that I've researched that I think are really bad for you, and if we put in these 9 ingredients that I think are really hydrating, like, then what do we do? And she was like, girl, I would get to use my chemistry degree. And I was like, yes. So those two together, the lip scrub and the lip slip, put us on the map. That got us into Blue Mercury, Nordstrom. We started with indie boutiques that I still love so much, female-founded indie boutiques back in 2005. Those put us on the map. Today, they're still my favorite. But the lip scrub, the lip slip duo got us into like Nordstrom and everything. So I realized that like there were 2 lip products that were groundbreaking. There are more. And all we do is lips. Like no one out there is only doing lips 24/7 all day, all the time. That's all we do.
Because then you become known for it and you become the best in this space and people know what to come to you for. I think that's sometimes half the battle of like knowing what to come to a person or a company for. And they know like, if I want a good lip product, Sara Happ is the brand to go to.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah. And I got so excited talking to you. So I asked you all these side questions, but I do want to go back to the beginning. And when you were in your kitchen, you said that you then were in a lab. Yeah. You went to different boutiques and then larger companies. Tell me about that growth process and what you think was the key to scaling.
Oh my goodness, that was the hardest part. That's a great question. Scaling was and remains the hardest part. Mm-hmm. So I was making this lip scrub in my kitchen with mixing bowls and spatulas and sugar from Whole Foods and all of that. No laboratory that like makes cosmetics had the machinery for this product. So they could I went into like so many different labs from like LA to like the East Coast. And they were like, we'll make you a lip gloss. We'll make you a lipstick. We'll make you a lip balm. We'll make you a lip pencil. We cannot make this lip scrub because we don't have the machinery because it doesn't exist. Also, it's probably a bad idea. They were like, we make product for the big companies. Like if they've never asked for it, it probably shouldn't exist. And I was like, excuse me, I think that's exactly why it should exist. Like, maybe no one's thought of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because feedback is so valuable and sometimes it can help us direct us in the right direction, but sometimes it isn't incorrect. Yes. So as a CEO, that's a part of the battle is being open enough to feedback. Yeah. But then ultimately you have to be the one that's intuitive and discerning what is applicable to your business. So there's obviously something within you that said, that's incorrect. Yeah. There actually is a need for this. What was that?
Yes. It was, I did a lot of focus groups with my girlfriends, my family. I'd have strangers come to my apartment and I would like pay them with cupcakes to try the product. So, and everyone's response was overwhelmingly positive. So I was like, no, people want this. The cosmetic companies, the labs just don't know it.
Yeah. So I think the key is then listen to your target audience. Listen to your customer.
Listen.
If a non-customer is telling you that your customer doesn't want it, but your customer is telling you that they want it, well, hello, they win.
Yes. Yeah. So, and also this was, back it up 15 years, indies are so cool today and you can break into the market with like a cool Instagram account and you can get picked up at Nordstrom because you have this great idea from anywhere, 15 years ago, like the Lancomes and the Estee Lauders of the world were still running the show. Right. So like this girl named Sara Happ was kind of like, who are you? So it wasn't as cool. And there was no Instagram. There was no Etsy. There was, none of that social media didn't exist.
Yeah. But you were still able to make it work. So eventually what you found a lab, you just persevered. You didn't take no for an answer. I did not. And you found a lab that would be able to do this.
What I ended up doing, I had so many no's. I had so many like rooms where I was honestly just like almost laughed out of. Or I was called cute. They were like, you're so cute.
That's so condescending.
And I was like, oh, this is over. Okay, so this meeting is over. So I found a lab, and this guy was the head of R&D, and he was like, you're crazy. Like, you just showed up in my office, and you expect to sit down with me. And I'm like, yes, I do. He was like, we don't have the machinery for this. You're great. I think it's a great idea. I've never thought about it, but I don't have the machinery. And I was like, listen, please take these 20 that I made at home to your wife this weekend. Give it to all the soccer moms. Give it away. If they don't like it, don't call me back. And he called me on Monday and he was like, well, we've got a problem. My wife and all of her girlfriends loved it at soccer. I guess I have to make it now. And it was so cool because it was like the power of women back then was really strong, and like these girls, these moms were into it and they supported it. So then it became like him sourcing machinery from Germany and us breaking machines left and right. And I was just like, I promise you, if we find the right machine, this is going to pay off.
Yeah, sometimes the barrier is just kind of proving the concept, and there are unfortunately more men in leadership positions. And so when, a male is a decision maker on a female product, naturally they're not going to get it as much, but that's really genius to be like, have your wife try this.
Yeah. Like I went there, like I just asked for the women's support and I asked them what they thought, and they had the same reaction that my friends and my focus groups did. So it was great. But then scaling was kind of a nightmare. So like this is part of the story that I think people don't really know. Like I hired a publicist. That's what I did. I took the product to like 5 stores in LA, indie boutiques, female founded indie boutiques, which again, back in 2005 were like really rare. Most people were going to like Macy's and the big guys, Saks and everything. I went to 5 small indie boutiques that were owned by women that I shopped at when I went to USC. I went to school here in LA, and I was like, listen, will you try my product? Because I know you don't have anything like it. Will you try it? And they all bought. They like wrote me checks, and I put them in my back pocket. And I was like losing my mind because it was like baking brownies and getting money for it, And then, but I knew that the product, now that it was out there, it was going to get knocked off. So I hired a publicist, and I was like, listen, I can't pay you until I get press. So I put all of my savings into the publicist. I paid her half of her retainer. I was like, this is literally my savings.
Oh my goodness, that makes me
now
so
I
nervous.
want press. Yeah, I was like, now I need press. So we did this like 2-day thing.
And by the way, you must have an awesome publicist, because a lot of publicists wouldn't do that. But you found one. You got creative.
Yeah. Well, I have a great publicist today. She's right out there, and she's a killer.
Yeah. So obviously, you're a big believer in publicity.
I'm a big believer in PR.
But we can talk about that. But so this worked. This worked.
And I said to her, I was like, hey, and this is where like I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't go to business school. I went to school for broadcast journalism. When this was all happening, I worked at ESPN in Connecticut. Like I worked in marketing and TV, sports marketing. But I didn't know what I didn't know. So I just said to my publicist, I was like, I want to be in People magazine because that's the maximum eyes and that's my audience and that's what I want. And she was like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. She's like, we'll do desk sides for 2 days in New York. I took 2 days off of work. We went to New York. We met with all the beauty editors, and all the beauty editors said the same thing. They were like, I've never seen anything like this. And why didn't I think of that?
Ooh.
So that was cool. And then the press just started rolling in. It hit in March of 2006. And People magazine hit the newsstand. My publicist got that done. And I came home from ESPN that day, and my website had crashed, and I had thousands of orders. It looked like a glitch in the system, and I crashed my web company's server.
Oh my!
I crashed everything, and I was like, okay, now I have to this is real.
Yeah,
this just happened, and I made my salary in 2 hours.
Oh my goodness! So what did you do?
I called my lab, and I was like, okay, I need 10,000 immediately. Like I need 10,000 now because I'm making them at home. And I found a fulfillment company, which I hadn't thought that through. Like, how do you fulfill thousands of orders?
Yeah, you can't just manually ship every single one.
No, my UPS guy was so great, and he would come and get all these boxes. And he was like, hey, there's a maximum. Like, I can't keep picking up 30 boxes every hour. Like you got to do something else. So it was kind of a wreck. But I found this wonderful fulfillment company in Connecticut. Again, the first guy said no to me. He was like, who are you? Like, we ship for the Gap. We ship for Estee Lauder. And I'm like, hi, I'm Sarah, And he sent me down to this smaller fulfillment company that's now giant. And I met one of my best friends in the whole world. She was the female owner of this fulfillment company. And she's like, girl, I got you. This is what we do.
Wow. And I think that's a big thing. If you're growing really quickly, the key there is hire, outsource.
Yeah. Yes. So she just went all in. They hired temps to come build product with me on the weekend. I was still making it at home. So I was filling orders. I was emailing every customer. I'm so sorry. There's a 4-week wait. Hang with me. And from there, the factory turned on. I raised $19,000 from my USC friends. That's the only money I've ever taken to pay my lab. And within a month we were caught up. And since then, we've just been making product, and press just rolled in. So this was like, again, in 2005, like Allure, In Style, Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, like that all just started rolling in. All the beauty editors were so good to us, and makeup artists were so good to us. Like Rachel Goodwin, she's a big deal here in LA. Well, she's a big deal everywhere, but she would like talk to Vogue about us, and then we'd get press. So the press was amazing. And that's why today I have my publicist Katie here, and I believe in PR, even in the face of like Instagram and Facebook and all that. I believe in like proper PR.
Hey, super quick. If this episode is inspiring you, I'd be so very grateful if you did any or all of the following. Subscribe to the podcast, review the podcast, or take a screenshot of this episode and post it to your Instagram stories and tag @Empowerista so I can share your post. Your support seriously means so much and will allow me to continue making episodes. Lastly, if you'd like to read the key points from today's interview, head to empoweristapodcast.com for show notes. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So obviously that was a really good problem to have, to grow that quickly.
Yeah.
Would you do anything differently from then, or do you think it happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen?
I think it happened the way it happened. It was like trial by fire. I call it like a beautiful nightmare.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. It was like I didn't shower. I didn't sleep. I lived off coffee. My life savings was gone. It was all on this product. But I had to learn so fast, and I had to make these decisions that were like so crazy. And I just did it I shot from the hip, and like it worked.
Nice. Okay. So I read that you spent $0 on marketing, on traditional marketing.
Yeah.
That you are all traditional PR, word of mouth, I'm sure social media as well.
Yeah.
So tell me about that strategy.
It wasn't even a strategy, Alex. It was more like necessity. So I ran the company. Like a lot of companies take on debt and they want to grow really fast, which is awesome. I was much more conservative, and I just grew the company steadily, like myself, with maybe a part-time publicist, a head of sales. Her name is Shannon. She still heads my sales. And I just did it really organically and slowly.
So you kind of spent in proportion to the money that was coming in.
Yeah, and we didn't spend on marketing.
Yeah.
We didn't spend on advertising. We actually didn't spend on any of that until last year. Last year was the first time we've ever spent on marketing.
Wow. Okay. So until last year,
Yeah.
it was all earned media, word of mouth, grassroots.
That's it.
And you specifically are a big believer in traditional PR. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I hired again, we were bootstrapping. So my focus was on profitability over growth. So we were profitable, 20% every year. And I put all the money back into the company. But what I did do was when we had a product launch, I would hire an indie publicist to come and do desk sides with me and, get in front of editors and send makeup artists product and stuff like that. Now it's unfortunate that we get to have great PR and all the time. And it's different. But I'm a big believer in traditional strategies.
And for those who aren't familiar with what you're talking about, the difference between profitability and growth, if you could explain that.
Sure. So you can go a couple different ways if you start a business. You can get investors, and you can give up a portion of your company. You put a value on your company, the investors and you decide it, and then they invest and you give up that portion. Right? So a lot of people do that, and that's really awesome. And you may want to grow really fast. So you can be a gigantic company and be bleeding out money and still be gigantic and still be very valuable, but you're not profitable. You know?
Yeah, because your gross revenue is how much you're making, but that's not accounting for how much you're spending. So profit is that amount between what you're making and what you're spending. And the bigger that gap is, the more comfortable, certainly, and sustainable and kind of conservative the outlook is for the CEO like you.
Yes. And because I was doing it myself, I needed to sleep at night, and I didn't want to lose money, and I didn't have investors, and I owned I owned 90% of the business. Again, part of it went to my USC friends who gave me the initial $19,000 15 years ago. But I focused on profitability, and that's just a different strategy. I may have done that differently had I looked back. I might have taken on investors, and I may have tried to grow quicker. But what we have today is proof of concept. Like people know that we've been here for 15 years. The product has been in Nordstrom and Bluemercury, and now we're on QVC, and it didn't happen overnight. The product has like stood the test of time.
Sure.
It's not going to be like in and out, you know? So that's been really comforting. But at this point, we are focused on growth. And we have taken on debt. And that's a new concept for me. But like, I can still sleep at night, and really good financial models can back up exactly what you're doing if you're careful.
Yeah. So what was it that made you want to go that route? Probably the growth you've seen, the proof of concept. You want to expand upon that? Yeah.
So it was like being 11 years in, and my friend Kelly Adderton, who worked at Allure for quite some time and has seen every product, was like, "You're the lip expert."
Yeah.
Like I was at Allure and we were the beauty expert. She's like, "You're the lip expert. Own it." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm a girl who makes lip products." And she was like, "Stop it. No." So we trademarked the lip expert, and I decided 3 years ago to gun it, to like go, to stop being like, sweet and indie. And I was like, I want to do this. Like I want to go
big.
I want to go big. Yeah. I have all these ideas. Nordstrom was asking for more. QVC was calling. We had investors calling from these giant firms.
So they were contacting you.
Yes, it was all incoming,
Because you already built this proof of concept where you have this brand and this community, and it was there, and they wanted in on it. And so you needed to maybe get some investors and take on some debt in order to get to next level.
Exactly. So it was one of those things where it's just like, all right, we're either going to go big or we're going to go home. Like we're going to go big. And I brought on a president. So I had no problem hiring someone who was smarter, who filled the gaps that I wasn't good at. I know what I'm not good at. Like math is a weak point for me. I don't like building spreadsheets. I know all of our numbers, but I don't like building them. I don't like projections. There's a lot that I'm not good at that I was wasting my time on. And I was like behind my desk every day at our offices. And I realized, like, as the kind of female founder movement has grown, that, like, there's a place for us and there's a voice. And people I do buy brands based on who makes them. I love Tatcha Cosmetics because I love Vicky Tsai. Like, she's been my friend for, 12 years. I love Josie Marin because I love Josie Marin. I love Drybar because I love Allie Webb. And I was like, wait a minute. I buy from women because I love the girls behind it. So I hired a president. She hired a really deep bench of people. We took on money that I'd never taken on before. And I was like, okay, this is all a lot.
Because you need money to hire people. That's probably where you needed the capital for.
We needed to hire people. And then you need to make more product.
And the beautiful thing about you hiring people is it's allowed you to step into this role of doing things that you do enjoy and being creative and being the face of the brand. And, going back to our earlier conversation where you said how much the space has changed and how much just social media and having a face and a brand is so important. So can you tell me a little bit about growing that part of the business?
Yeah. So I feel like that's one of those things where the timing has been perfect. So like the Female Founders Collective has started, the F Project, like people are very focused on females, right? Like
it's our moment. It's our opportunity.
It is, you know, like we're not girl bosses. We just want to be bosses, right? So like 3 years ago, Alex, I couldn't have come and sat down with you and done this to begin with because I would have been behind my desk. I would have been like, no, it's finance day. No, I'm meeting with our lawyers. You
were so in the weeds of your business.
I had backed myself into a corner and I was in it. So ceding control and knowing what you're not good at, I think is the best thing you can do. And then investing in people. Hire up. Always hire up. Like, I love sitting around a table with, like, these wonderful people who support me and, like, them being like, no, I'll come up with an idea and they'll be like, oh, no. Or my publicist will be like, I don't want to pitch that. Like, I love it when people play to their strengths. Like, they do what they do best. And then that allows me to come here and talk to you or go on QVC for 3 days and sell. Or most importantly, make product. I get to like play with product and think about products. All I think about is lip products all the time. And I get to sit down with our chemists and play and mix and create. And that was something that before this, I had to do that at night. Like that was like my night job was like thinking of products. And now I get to do that like all the time, which is really a blessing. So it's like knowing what you're good at, knowing what you're not good at, and hiring smarter, hire.
Yeah. Well, and that takes a lot of humility and relinquishing of control. And I think that's really hard, especially our business is our baby, you know? And so to acknowledge like, okay, this person is really, really good in this area. I'm choosing to trust them. I'm choosing to, you know, relinquish control and have them operate this aspect of my business so I can focus on what's more important as a CEO and founder. And that's the bigger vision and the product and what we're offering our audience.
100%. That's exactly right.
Yeah. And I'm sure that it's created a lot more freedom for you. You know, I read about how like you still take time to work out, to take bubble baths, you know, you have a daughter and that's really important because when we create a business, we want to make sure it's working for our life and what we want holistically out of life. So tell me how you've been able to do that more, especially in recent years.
Oh man, I didn't do that for the longest time. Honestly, Alex, like I was a workaholic for a good 12 years and I didn't take time for myself and I gave everything to my daughter and I didn't put myself first at all. I put the company first because I was like, I have to keep this alive. I put my daughter first because I was like, I have to keep that alive. And I think in the last couple of years, I've really been able to step back and be like, put your air mask on first, right? They say that on every airplane that you're on. They're like, you know, your air mask first and then attend to everyone else. And that's really important. So it's like people say self-care isn't selfish. And for me, that's been a big deal. Like this morning, I took a 4-minute bubble bath because that's all I had time for. But that was my reset. That's what I did. And, you know, tomorrow at 6:30, I'm going to go to hot yoga because that helps my brain. You know, it's looking at those things and like literally scheduling them in and making yourself a priority. And then you're better for everyone.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it probably makes you a better mom. Yes. It makes you a better CEO.
Yes. I'm kinder. I'm calmer. Like, also like mental health has been a big thing for me. I struggle with anxiety. I struggle with depression, which I find a lot of like creative people do. And a lot of my friends now, we've all sort of really opened up about that. And I think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, it's a ride. It's a roller coaster. So like it can trigger depression. It can trigger anxiety. And I've just started like protecting my sleep, making sure I'm eating really well. And like all the stuff that I used to just kind of like take for granted and like run on caffeine and adrenaline and drive, that's not actually cool. Like, don't do that. So like to take care of my mood and my brain, like I sleep, you know?
And what makes you a better CEO? Because I'm sure you had a lot of results when you were the, you know, self-proclaimed workaholic.
Yeah.
But I bet you're seeing better results now.
I am. And even if I'm not, I at least know that I'm like taking care of myself, you know, like, and so maybe I have a day where I'm not on every call or I don't do a great job, but like I'm a better mom or the 2 meetings that I do, I'm better at, you know? And so it's like one of those things where like just finding some kind of balance. Stuff is always going to be imbalanced. I don't believe in that whole like,
work-life balance.
No, something's always going to drop. You know, like I will probably be late today for something. Yeah, for sure. I was late here.
And just kind of accepting it and acknowledging like, hey, we're still doing the interview. It's all good.
We're doing it. Yeah, for sure. So it's, you know, I think taking care of yourself is actually really important. And it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be like a 5-hour massage. For me this morning, it was a 4-minute bubble bath and like hanging out with my friend Blair who came and did my makeup because I was like, listen, I need help. Like, I can't do this today. Like, my skin is broken out. I don't know what to do about that. Calling in my friend, you know? It's like just doing stuff that really does, like, impact you.
And valuing more than just the bottom line. Also valuing your health and your relationships. And we can at least create holistic lives. We might not have perfect balance, but we can have every single aspect of our life thrive.
Yes. Maybe not all at once.
Yeah.
But you can pay attention to it like in buckets.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's end on this note. You created a multi-million-dollar company. I mean, this is the dream for so many women. What advice do you have?
Oh man, my advice to women is find mentors. That's my biggest piece of advice. It's not advice that I took very well. I kind of did it all on my own. And I would say today more than ever, people are reachable. Social media can connect us. And I would say if you have an idea or if you are in a company or you're a mom, doesn't matter what you're doing, reach out and ask for help. people are accessible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you're on the playground or if you're in a boardroom. Ask for help. Find mentors. Find people that you admire that are doing what you're doing, and just ask for help.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure people reach out to you all the time, and obviously you don't have the time to say yes to every single coffee date, but I'm sure you have the attitude of like, I want to pay it forward, you know? So I'm sure,
I'll do anything I can.
I'm sure like every once in a while you'll get a random message on Instagram and you probably respond and give advice, you know?
Always.
So I think you're an example of like, you're a busy, successful woman. You're accessible. Think of all the other women who are just like you who want to pay it forward too. So don't be afraid to ask, I think is the takeaway.
Don't be a hero. Ask for help, and you'll probably get it in like whatever zone you're playing in.
Sara, you are such an inspiration. Thank you so much for chatting today.
This was really fun. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today's show. As a reminder, show notes are available at empoweristapodcast.com. And I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe, review, or share this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and have an amazing week.